On the revised charter that was been up on the town website and available from all of the members. And to my right is Bob Wing, Sharon Hill, Paul Donlin, Selectman Andy Burbine, who served on the committee with me. We met 11 times. This is our public hearing. We hope to bring it to a conclusion this evening. So, any public comment? Michael?
No, sir.
Deborah?
Just want to tell you what a great looking movie you are.
Thank you, Michael.
That's why you're on that side of the table.
Any comment from you people before we move on to the agenda and go through the document one last time?
Not at this
Okay.
point.
We get minutes for December 9th?
I do not have it.
Okay.
Promise.
Okay, off we go. Article 1. Who's doing Article 1? You, Sharon, you want to go through it if you had a chance to get through it?
I did read it. I didn't really find
See anything? Right.
I didn't see anything. Read it on the train, but I didn't see anything that stuck out at all.
We had an overriding issue that affects the whole document, and Andy raised it in the context of his going through Article 3,
Yes.
which was the
Selectmen?
uppercase and lowercase for Board of Selectmen and all other elected town officials, and, I mean, you could look at other charters, some other towns have used uppercase, some have used lowercase. I have no particular
Preference. I
preference.
just raised it for consistency's purpose.
Yeah, I agree. Whatever it is, it should
I
be
looked at my
consistent.
section, and it is capitalized.
Yeah.
My section.
Why don't you
is
drag
six.
up chair, Mr. Goldberg? Who's been so helpful in this process to get us to this point.
Thank you. So with respect to the capitalization issue, I think that we had talked earlier about how the general court, and specifically the Senate Council for the past number of years, has systematically taken any charter documents come through and made everything lowercase.
Okay.
And so I think that when you're looking from document to document, part of the reason that things are in lowercase is because they do that at the general court. But there's no right way to do it if you're not going to be doing a special act. Then it's up to you.
Lowercase, right?
And-
Whatever, as long as it's.
We should do lower, I would
Easier, I think.
suggest it's just easy to do everything lowercase.
And I can confirm too that regardless of how it looks, you know, whether, even if you did get a special act and you use the lowercase and you want it uppercase, you can change those things. It doesn't change the charter.
No.
Yeah.
But I would suggest for consistency and uniformity, it's all lowercase. Which was pretty much the case through the whole document. If we get consistency, we'll be in good shape. So there was nothing except the issue of uppercase and lowercase in Article 1. Article 2, which is the legislative branch. You found nothing in that either, right, Sharon?
Nope.
So we can move on to Article 3. The last sentence in 311. How about such elected officials may be subject to recall? I'd hate to think every elected official shall be subject to recall.
311.
312.
311, last 311.
So 311,
Such elected officials shall be subject to recall as set forth in section 313 of this charter. My document's got that. Your document doesn't have that? Yeah,
Mine says shall be.
Yeah.
oh, I see.
Should be may, yeah.
Okay. I think the reason that it says shall is because they shall be subject to it, meaning they shall be subject to the provisions of recall.
Maybe. Let's hope they're not all subject to recall.
Well, I think the argument would be that saying they may be.
They would fall
that-
under that category.
They might be able to be subject to recall versus shall means they
They always are
They
subject
are
to.
subject to it under that statute,
Under
but
those
I don't
circumstances.
think it's something to worry about. I think, I can understand your perspective, but I don't think it's an issue.
All right. May. Sean, you over, we have opened and closed the public hearing.
I was here to thank you for all of
All
your
right.
public service. Appreciate your dedication.
So we're just going through the articles now, and the language in 3.2 is, that's the language we need, right? 3 months immediately preceding the annual town election.
That was the language that you discussed.
Right, okay. And 313.2 is just clarifying some, excuse me, yeah.
In the red line version, it doesn't have in there which was 314, trustees of Veterans Memorial, not redlined out. It's just gone.
Okay.
Which one, Andy?
It what used to be 3-14, referring to trustees of Veterans Memorials. I know in the new version it's going to be taken out, but in the red line version that I have, at least,
So this is a little bit weird. If you, what page is that? Is that your page 11?
my page 10. Maybe maybe I have an older version then.
Does it look like this?
No.
Okay, because if you look here, it shows up right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is that the version that's online?
That's the
That's
version
the
that's
ver-
online.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Thank you.
And the issue on 313.4 was the issue of, which was raised in the context of the Fall River recall election.
Yeah.
And they had an issue where the incumbent mayor who was being recalled went on the ballot, which certainly is right. But there was a concern that, and the Globe expressed the concern that, he could wind up with 30% of the vote on the second question, having been recalled on question number 1, and be reelected on question number 2 with 30% of the vote. But as Lauren made the point, you can't preclude him from running.
The concern I have is that does raise constitutional issues. There's a case, I can't put my fingers on it, but I do know that the Elections Division has it in their files somewhere, that basically says that people have a constitutional right to be candidates for election. It does say subject to the charter, the freedom of government that they shall determine. But, I think the question really is and we've had discussions about this at the Elections Division previously, that you may still want to recall someone, and yet they're the best choice out of the candidates that present themselves. So the real issue is it recall and someone else has to fill that spot, or is it maybe not recall them at all, or recall them but yet still want to elect them? And so the way that you have it means they're not precluded from being candidates for re-election. And they would just tell the clerk if they didn't want to run.
I think it's more of an issue for a larger city where there are probably going to be multiple candidates, and hopefully it's a provision we'll never use again anyway, but
This is typically the language, Mr. Chairman, that you do see in these. So I know the Globe was somewhat surprised by that fact or by that result, but almost every single recall act has this exact language. There's only 1 or 2 that I'm aware of that say that they cannot be candidates, and those are ones that, again, as I said, I do have some concerns about the constitutionality.
I don't think it's I raised the issue just because of the Globe editorial and the situation in Fall River, but I don't think it's a major issue that demands our attention. So I think we'll let it go the way it is,
I would.
the way it has been. Article 4, Well, we're talking about uppercase and lowercase. Are we talking about uppercase and lowercase for town manager too, or? All lowercase, right, okay.
I would imagine that you'd want to, for all titles
Okay.
of offices, you'd want to have it be the same.
Yep. In the fourth paragraph of Article 4 under the town manager. What have I got here? And with such surety shall be fixed or approved by. There's an issue with that. You had an issue with that. Oh, there was a capitalization issue which no longer exists. 4.3B was where we have the exclusion for the library director, which we all agreed upon. J, to be responsible for purchasing of all functions and for all departments? Rather than and departments, is that okay? For all, of all functions and for all departments, just for the clarity of language. Which gets us to L, does that do it
Page 14.
we wanted to do? That was the issue that
Tom
Tom raised.
raised, yes, yeah. I think it does.
Okay.
Can we go back to J for 1 second?
Sure.
Should it instead say to be responsible for all purchasing for all
Fine.
functions and departments, or responsible for purchasing for all functions and departments?
Okay. Whatever works.
Which is it?
I think for all functions and departments.
To be responsible for,
Responsible for purchasing for all functions and departments. Looks like maybe that was just omitted at
Yep.
some point by
Okay.
accident.
Good.
Thank you.
L, that works, I guess. Is that what happens? Is that he annually fixes compensation? And
That's required by
we were
law.
Yeah, we were concerned about the interim lame duck fixing of it.
Right.
And that'll take care of it, Andy?
I think so.
Okay.
That was Selectman Dion, right?
Yes.
Q, the last couple of lines, Lauren.
Yes.
To submit such reports of their doings and summaries of action taken as may be deemed to be necessary or desirable for the purposes of such coordination,
Yeah.
strike out to have available.
Yes. Got it.
T, authorized to exercise rather than excise.
Oh, mine says exercise.
Nice, isn't it?
Doesn't it?
Mine
Mine
says
says
excise.
excise. Yours
Mine
says
says
excise.
excise.
Mine says
Yeah,
excise too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yours says excise?
In T,
Exercise.
Mine says
Mine
excise.
does
the
not.
second sentence, second line,
Oh, the second one
Oh,
does
it's
say
authorized
yes.
to
You're right.
exercise.
two excises.
Yes.
Got it. I'm glad we've excised that problem from the charter.
Exercise.
Sorry. As my son would say, that was very punny. Okay.
That's all I had for 4. Did I have 5 too? I had 5 too, I guess. The only issue in 5 I had, did we do what we were supposed to do with the deputy fire chief? We took out the ability, we left silent, I guess, the ability to, as to who appoints the acting chief. And under the general context of the town manager's appointing authority, because it is no longer included in here, he will have the ability to appoint the acting fire chief, which is what we wanted to do. I guess.
So,
Before it said,
Oh, this one line we took out, the deputy
took
fire
out,
chief shall work under the direction of the fire chief and shall serve
Serve as acting.
acting fire chief in the absence of the fire chief.
And we took that out to allow the town manager to appoint the acting fire chief.
Fire department personnel. Well, it says the fire chief shall be the appointing authority for all fire personnel and shall have full authority to appoint, demote, and suspend all employees, including firefighters, captains, superior officers, and deputy fire chief.
And we're not talking about the deputy, we're talking about the acting fire chief, I believe.
So the way it read, the deputy fire chief automatically stepped in as fire chief if there was a vacancy.
Right.
So that's not the case now, because we were taking that line out.
Acting fire chief in the
So
absence
would
of the.
that fall to the town manager to make that appointment?
That's what we wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okey-doke. Six,
Yeah, I didn't see much here. It does sound a little weird, though, when we talk about bylaw.
bylaws chapter.
Within the time fixed by bylaw, the town manager, with the
Let's see.
advice and consent of the Board of Selectmen. And
Where
that's
are
in
we?
there a
Which-
couple
which-
of times.
Which section?
That is in section B, 62B,
62.
under the submission of the budget. C, sorry, C,
The first sentence.
yeah,
The time fixed by bylaw?
yeah,
Yeah,
bylaw.
that's the way it is.
That's what it is.
That's right, right. I hear what you're saying, but that's,
Yep.
that's what it is.
And it's in there a couple of times.
Yeah. Other than that, it was just, again, a question of the upper and lower
Yep.
case, you know,
Yep.
which we have resolved.
And the only other question I did think about was the only time that we put any type of number in this finance and fiscal procedures is in section 6.2. The town manager shall submit to the Board of Selectmen, 30 days. This is the only time any number is in 6. It's in other parts of the budget message, but, 10 days for the finance committee to go to the town clerk, but this is the only time it says 30 days here. So I was wondering why the town manager has 30 days to submit to the finance committee when it should be basically the very same day it becomes a public document,
What
right?
we're saying is, though, that 30 days prior to the date a budget is required to be submitted to the finance committee, he shall submit it to the Board of Selectmen, which is what we want him to do,
Okay,
so that the selectmen have
A chance to
at
weigh
least a
in.
heads up of
Yeah.
30 days
Right.
before it goes off to the finance committee.
but once it becomes a public document, doesn't the finance committee get it? Didn't we discuss this?
They might be able to have access to the document, but it would still give time, because it's really, a proposed budget, and it could be altered or revised, and then given to the finance committee in whatever final, I'm putting in quotes, but the final form, that would be decided between the time it's submitted to the Board of Selectmen and the time that it gets reported out to the finance committee.
What we were trying to do is set up a chronology, which
Yeah.
the town manager would follow in preparation and submission of budget. And his first submission would be to the Board of Selectmen prior to the submission to the finance committee.
So that 30 days would basically be time for the town manager to kind of defend the budget
Yeah.
that he's prepared.
And consult with the
Consult with the
selectmen.
board and decide whether that's what he wants to submit to the finance committee
Did,
for the approval of the board.
you have anything else in 6 or 7, or you're part of 7, Paul? That's pretty much it. I don't think there's any
No.
issues at this stage. Yeah.
Nope.
Bob, you with the rest of 7 and 8?
I didn't see anything.
I have one,
Stuck out.
one on, is a reference to war memorials instead of veterans somewhere. 8.3,
It's on, yeah.
8.4, I'm sorry,
8.4.
8.4. Down,
Trustees of War Memorials?
it shouldn't be war, it should be veterans.
Okay.
In eight, what are you looking for? In eight?
Yeah, I was just
wanna
looking
make
to
sure we said
confirm
Veterans
that,
Memorial beforehand.
yeah, because I don't remember.
I think that's the only place war showed up,
Okay,
in 8-4.
okay.
I see it there.
It's right here.
It's there 3 times.
On the last
On
page.
27
Yeah.
too, yeah.
26 and 27.
Still part of 8-4.
Trustees of Veterans Memorials, yeah, okay. I will fix it.
Pages are, page 27?
Yeah.
Mine's-
It's actually still part of 8-4.
Mine was
Last paragraph
26,
in
yeah.
Veterans.
Oh, and two, I'm sorry, 2 places.
There's 3.
3, okay. Anyhow, where's the third one?
I see it.
Twice in the
On
first
26?
paragraph on
Got
26.
them both, yeah. All 3. 1, 2, 3.
And we can fill in these blanks if we think that the town, the Board of Selectmen is going to move this forward at the upcoming annual town meeting. So then we would say the 2015 annual town meeting, I think that would be good enough. And then the 2016 annual town election.
Okay.
We're just doing a,
Anything else in the charter? If not, how about a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. The executive summary yet? On the second page of the executive summary, 3-1-2, the second sentence.
yep.
I don't think that's factually correct. How's that?
Okay. Set me straight. I need some tough talking, obviously.
Was moved from 7-12? No, it wasn't moved from 7-12. It might have been numbered 7-12, but it was in the wrong section, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, but 7-12 in the
Is that the recall?
existing charter talks about bylaw review and codification.
Oh,
so
that's the wrong reference.
the wrong one.
As soon as you told us, we knew. I had to go all the way back to the bottom of that pile.
That's it. I think we're probably talking about the recall section
was-
rather than the election section.
It was
per
just
se.
that one, look,
It's all right.
7-12 elections.
Where'd you get that?
This is what was on the web.
It's the copy I got from the town clerk.
Can-
Got a lot of versions running around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have a lot of versions.
Sure do. 7-12 elections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yours doesn't say that?
Yeah, it does.
Oh,
Annual town election.
see, look at that.
That's not what we're taking out.
Well, the provision that you're talking about in the executive summary is really just about moving that text on the annual town election from chapter 7 to chapter 3. Because that's all we did with that. In 312.
But we took the recall section out of somewhere too.
That Yeah, that is 313,
Yeah.
and that was also from section 7.
Yeah,
I didn't, I should have actually called it, that is weirdly labeled, if you remember, and so, because that, if you look at, I mean, 712 also, it's, the numbering is wrong.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
We changed the number.
Right.
we changed the number.
Yeah. I'm just looking for the
The recall section.
weird place.
The recall section is in, currently in
Shoved in
Article
a-
3, but it's numbered 712. You know what I mean?
So,
Anyhow, a clarifying sentence as to what we're doing here would be helpful.
so,
The annual town election is inserted as a new section and incorporates the recall provisions.
it doesn't because that section in 312, annual town election, is
Okay.
just one.
Okay, so as,
If you go down further in the summary, get to section 313,
Okay.
then it's the recall.
as we relocated in section 7,
What if you just said the text itself was moved from Article 7 and not refer to the
yeah,
specific
Right.
section?
And the text was moved from Article 7, yeah.
good,
I see, okay, I was on a different
okay.
Article 3.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
can we go back to the article, I mean, the thing one more time, just for a clarification's sake? I know, now I remember why I circled 30, because it was the number 30, not the written 30.
Oh, okay.
It's written 30 in every other place, when we have
Says-
numbers, right. They,
So you want, that's fine.
yeah, because every other number has 4.1, you're looking at charter, you're looking at everything else,
They should
so.
write the word 30 out.
You should write the word 30, because it does that in section 4.5, it says 30 days.
Okay.
But, and then some places you put commas correct in the, and you put 60 in there or 30 in there.
Right. You
Okay.
did the word and then
That
the,
was section 6 what?
6.2, where it says, the very first line, it says 30 days, that should be the written word 30,
Oh, I see.
because it,
Yep.
all the other numbers refer to chapter 31,
Right.
sections
right,
42,
right.
43.
So normally, just so that you know, what I usually do is anything over 10, I use a number, like a numeral, and anything under 10, I write it out.
Okay.
So if it was, 9 days, I'd write the word 9, but if it was 11 days, I'd put the number 11.
30 days looks better.
Yeah, on-
THIRTY looks better.
on page 23, you have 60, the word 60, and then in parentheses have the number 60.
Okay, so that's what you guys want to see?
And then,
Okay,
in section 4.5, you did write out the word 30.
okay.
And parentheses 30?
No parentheses, just says 30
Just
days.
All right, that's
I can't speak to my thought process on that.
okay.
Judge Kelly.
That's a
30
6,
days.
6-2, right? Anything else on the executive summary? Looks pretty good to me.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So I should go through and look for all these numbers, just to double check, to make sure they're all the same, the way that we're doing with the
Yep.
capitals and stuff, okay.
Do you want a motion to accept the
Yeah,
executive
We
summary?
want to have a motion to approve the executive summary as amended.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Yep. How's that? Okay. Now, the process again, Lauren, we go to town meeting,
Yep.
you get a, what kind of a vote do we need to preclude other things?
So, to move this forward,
Yeah, without special legislation.
without special legislation, you need a 2/3 vote.
Okay.
And so the two-thirds vote, and then it basically sits until next year's election.
Yep.
And no less than 2 weeks before next year's election, the ballot question would get, in the summary that we would prepare, the Board of Selectmen get to decide if they like the summary, but goes on the ballot at that election, and those things get mailed to every single household of a registered voter. And, that's an opportunity, another opportunity to do a public hearing to kind of remind people, no matter whether it's this group or the Board of Selectmen or whoever, is the right group at that point.
It's getting mailed because it's a charter revision?
Yes.
Not because it's part of a warrant or
It
anything?
gets mailed because it's a charter revision under Chapter 43B.
Okay. Okay, and then we go to the ballot in 2016.
Yes, and that's a majority vote.
And if we get a
Just to be
two-thirds vote at town meeting, we are precluded to go to the legislature, which is always a trip lately anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the way that, I guess that's some consideration about how to draft the warrant article, and I know that you had sent me a version. Generally, what I would do is reference right in the article the method or the process. So something like to see the town will vote pursuant to general laws, Chapter 43B, Section 10A, to approve the amendments to the town charter recommended by the committee under a document entitled whatever it is as on file with the clerk. And then, we could also kind of highlight right in the article if you wanted to, that, some of these changes are administrative, clerical, ministerial changes and have absolutely no substantive effect, like changing something from a capital to a lowercase letter, or perhaps even moving the definitions from one place to another. It doesn't do anything except make the charter more readable. So we could characterize some of those types of changes, and then kind of highlight some of the big picture things from the executive summary, the change in the two boards from elected to appointed, maybe the access for the warrant articles, the town manager's authority, and the reorganization essentially and clarification of the budget process. And those are the biggest picture issues. So by putting them in there and then just refer to, then there can be a decision made about whether you want to attach the amended charter showing the strike-throughs and the cross-outs to the warrant, or whether you want to refer people to the website, have different, have the full text available in print upon request, at the library, at the senior center, town hall, at the clerk's office, the Board of Selectmen's office. So those are some different options. Now that you don't do the mailing of the full warrant, it may be that you do want to just attach it to the warrant, because it's very easy to access that. And people click once on the website and they can see it in one place. And it's, in terms of reproducing it, that's really for the selectmen to think about whether they're going to print the entire thing with the strike-throughs for town meeting. And there are some towns that would, and there are some towns that wouldn't, in my experience.
That's a decision the Board of Selectmen will make, I assume.
Yes.
I think if you have it on the website and available to the library and the town clerk and maybe the senior center, it's an executive summary available at town meeting. Should be enough.
So what would the ballot look like?
The ballot's going to
Ballot
say,
question.
shall this town approve the charter amendment summarized below? It's a statutory form of the question, and that's it. And so the work really is to come up with a summary that hits the high points. At that point, people have heard about it at town meeting. There's this public hearing, there's likely to be another one before, or at least a forum for discussion of some sort before the election. And sometimes you can get your League of Women Voters to have a forum or something like that. And so, there's a lot of information out there, and they're not just relying on the very short summary, but to the same extent, it's good to highlight those important changes as well. So, we'd probably, if we wrote the warrant article to hit those high points and also talk about the administrative, ministerial, clerical changes, we might be able to use a very similar statement for the summary.
And then it becomes effective after the vote.
It would become effective upon, the results of the election.
In 2016.
16, right, okay.
Okay, that's the process. The, speaking of the process, the DPW, Rick?
Yes,
The DPW won't make it before this happens at town meeting, I assume.
that, I can't tell you that. I know that I've been at both Mr. Keenan's, Senator Keenan's office and Representative Beal's office have told me that they hope that by April that it is at least to the
The only
government.
reason I raised the issue is that were it to be approved by the legislature beforehand, we could offer it as an amendment to be incorporated in the charter at town meeting, so we wouldn't have something hanging out there that wasn't in the charter.
Mr. Chairman, I think there would be time if you do a fall town meeting. If it passes before then, obviously it'd be ideal to have it be dealt with before then, certainly. But if it wasn't, you could deal with it at the fall town meeting.
Incorporated in the charter, and then then that is incorporated in the charter, and that charter with the incorporation would then go to the ballot?
What we could do is say if the charter amendments are passed, so we put it in the transitional provisions that it's incorporated as a section of the charter. And it's a little funky because you're doing a special act and layering it in with the
Right.
43B, but I think we could work it out.
Okay.
Excuse me, obviously, the goal, as you know, was to try to expedite the DPW issue because of the opportunity of transition that was presented, but, so we still have an organization that's kind of in limbo, that the fastest route is still the best route to get that done, I'm not sure. So I don't think I know nobody's suggesting to alter that course of history, it's just how do you deal with that in conjunction with the town vote?
Well, it would have been nice if we could have been incorporated in one fell swoop, but we'll see if we can. If we can, we can. If we can't, we can't. So, but it's been filed, or it's in the process of being filed, or, again.
Yeah, it was, didn't make it in the last session, so it is being, Senator Keenan's office and Jeff Deal's office were going to be discussing whether it's best to have it filed initially in the Senate or the House, and that's, they were coordinating that, so.
Okay, we'll see what happens. Anything else on the process? Anybody get any questions?
I do not.
Transmittal letter to the chairman and the members of the Board of Selectmen.
Looked good to me.
Yeah.
Good.
What, did it have a date on it?
There was no date on it.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll, with the transmittal letter, include a clean copy, marked copy, and executive summary. Okay. Whenever you get them.
I'm seriously going home tonight to do it because then it just winds up slipping with other drama. I'm gonna do it tonight, send it right back out.
Okay.
I gotta at least just get something off my plate, so I'll be
Good.
happy to do that.
And the presentation date to the Board of Selectmen, Rick, we'll leave that up to you. So let us know when you want us to do it, and we'll do it. We'll give you the transmittal letter and the marked copy, clean copy, and executive summary, and you can stick it on the agenda whenever you'd like to do it.
I'll coordinate that with the chairman.
Very good. All right?
I had to say that.
And the Finance Committee,
Jack, just for edification, I have the 9th of February for school committee in Situate,
okay,
so that must
that's a
be.
Monday?
That's a Monday, right. And I have, not that you guys need me there, but it would be the Ooh, Bob. The 2nd and the 16th of March.
Not available.
Okay, I'm not available for those nights. Okay?
I don't know when the selectmen are meeting. Do you know offhand, Andy, what your schedule is yet? No.
No, I can't say.
We'll try to get as many people there as we can, obviously, to make the presentation, and the Finance Committee, I assume, will have a hearing on it, too.
I would imagine so, right, yeah.
You know, I went to, as I told you, I went to the Park and Rec last week.
They're meeting again tomorrow night. Well, they are meeting tomorrow night, actually. Yes.
And Abington, from what I can see, is sort of an outlier in electing their Park and Rec Commission. I mean, every other town around here gets appointed either, mostly by the Board of Selectmen, but the town of Hanover, believe it or not, gets appointed by the moderator.
Yeah, wow.
It's a Park and Rec, so, but they're all appointed. And I've heard nothing at all from the trustees.
Trustees.
Veterans Memorials. Those would appear to be the possibility of contentiousness, but I don't anticipate any.
I was going to plan on going tomorrow night to the Park and Rec, so if you're around, if you want to.
But every town around here is appointed.
Yeah.
They have different names, Youth Commission or
Recreation
Recreation
Commission.
Commission or whatever. They're all appointed. Anything else?
What's Bob going to do is, did you have your PowerPoint or?
It's there, but we'll save it for the,
Nobody here.
right?
No?
Save it for the selectmen.
You can do it for the TV if you want.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. To do it at the Selectmen's meeting.
That's right, exactly. Just
Stay
like the
within.
meeting, and maybe at the FinCom too, yeah, great. Anything else? Yes.
Can I just once again say thank you to all of you? I know this was a pretty big undertaking, and it's a pretty important undertaking, because it's basically the core of our town government. Lauren, I know you were good hands with Lauren, thank you for all the work you've done, keeping these people in order and making.
They did all the work.
But really, I mean, I appreciate it. I appreciate that you accepted the appointment, the work you've done. I've tried to stay away and let you do your thing, and I can tell you, I think the town will be very happy with the result. And I think the selectmen will be very pleased as we'll find some. So again, just thanks. I know you had several meetings, and you did a lot of work. So thanks again.
Yeah, thank you, thanks for the appointment. We enjoy the work. And and as you said, we will not be at the point we're at without, if Lauren had tried to stay us. So there we are. Anything else? If not, motion to adjourn. Oh, excuse me, yes, Michael.
Is this a done deal now?
A done deal.
Recommendations, yes.
Our recommendations, yeah.
All right, because I came here tonight because I had a little question on the 5-year appointment to the town manager.
Should be 10.
In August, I won't be able to speak. If it's a done
Yeah, sure, yes, we do it.
I just feel strongly on the boards and commissions that are down in town that you're on a 3-year cycle. So any selectman or board member like that is on 3 years. So you could have a board that would come in and somebody's running for the thing, for the selectman cycle. And a point going out the door could give the town manager a 5-year appointment.
We left that as the prerogative of the Board of Selectmen.
Correct.
And you can fill it up to 5 years.
That's
You can
correct.
do 2 years, you can
But
do 3
again,
years.
it is within their rights. So as a new coming member, you would never really get to sit on an appointment with a new town manager. The last town manager we had before Rick, we were forced into a no contract or a 3-year contract. And there was nothing in between. It's not a 1 or a 2 or a 3. But again, I feel strongly about the 5 years. I don't know what the thought process was from the committee. And I certainly respect your opinion, but I can just see in my mind where it absolutely could present problems to a future member of the Board of Selectmen being harnessed with a 5-year appointment. And I don't know whether it's wrong with 1, 2, or 3 years and then jumping up to 5, because, you know, having gone through the process of search committees for town manager, there certainly is a feel-good feeling when you finally get a candidate. And there's no doubt that sometimes you're gonna sit there and say, oh, why don't we just, we got the guy we wanted, or the person we wanted, let's give him 5 years. And I don't agree with that. I mean, I certainly respect your opinion, but I don't know if you guys had a different mind.
You're not locked into 5 years, Mike.
It says not to
Not locked
exceed.
into 5 years, but the potential is there to give 5 years.
Sure there
Right,
is.
sure,
But
but
there's
that's-
always here to give 5 years.
Not the way it was written in our.
No, but it is now. You can
It is
give
now.
You can give 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5.
I think that's my point. You could only give 3 or 4, and I wish it had said 1, 2, or 3. But now it can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
The point is that you can harness a finance, a selectman with 5 years. Somebody going out the door, not running for the board, for all the wrong reasons possible, could give the.
What you're suggesting is that this selectman, whoever it is, anonymous selectman going out the door, is going to act in bad faith. I don't accept that premise.
You don't think it's ever happened? Okay.
And
I
it's-
just, what our goal was
To exceed.
provide some stability for the town, and if the town was comfortable with a town manager, let's assume, for example, that they had voided him initially for 3 years, and they were very comfortable with the job he'd done, and the townspeople were comfortable with it, so they felt that an extension of his contract could be a 5-year term. But what our goal, I believe, was to provide continuity and stability to the town and to the office of town manager.
No, that I can see, Jack. Completely can see that. It's just
But I don't think that,
between 3 and 5 years. I think 3 years you can accomplish the same thing. And you always have the ability to renegotiate another contract and give them an additional 2 or 3 years instead of just harnessing, I hate to use that word.
well, yeah, I think there are candidates for town manager who are uncomfortable in applying for a job where they are limited to a 3-year term, you know? And I think that has the possibility of reducing the pool of applicants when you are limited to a 3-year term. And I think the collective judgment and wisdom was that it applied for stability in the town manager's office.
I mean, I think you might be seeing it, I think you might be locking in on saying that 5 years when it's not 5 years. You can go up to 5 years.
Well, no,
So, I mean-
I understand that, but what I'm saying is 5 years is a long time, all right? And you can get, you got there's a certain filling out process. You see where a lot of town managers, I don't know if the committee actually investigated how many other towns give 5 years. Is it usually the norm to do that, or is it the norm to give 3 years?
I think it's becoming more the norm,
Yeah,
Mike. I think that's,
we did look at a few towns, and it has become the norm. I mean, 3 was probably the norm years ago, but now it's worked up to 5. And there was discussion, I mean, I was
I don't doubt that.
I was up for 3, and then after you start looking at, you know, the professionalism that goes on and everything that's built into the job, making it not, you know, not to exceed 5 years gives the board all sorts of latitude in what they want to do. I don't think one selectman going out the door is going to change.
Well, you could have 2,
Well, you could, but it's still a 5-member board. So, I mean,
I think the example that you are fearful of, Michael, I don't see that as a reality. But,
You're right.
I think,
why?
and I think what it was, done- as you said, Mike, the way it reads now, you're locked into 3 years. There's no variation. It has to be a 3-year contract, which binds the board in too many ways, I think is what we thought.
Right.
This 0 to 5 gives the board a lot of flexibility. Maybe it's only 2, depending on who's supplied, or maybe it's 1,
I
or,
understand, Mr. Berman, what you're saying, but 0 to 3 would have been my preference instead of.
I understand that would have been your preference, yeah.
And, you know, 5 years is a good attraction, but I know that being involved in this process, money talks when you're looking at a town manager more than anything. Most of the really talented people are looking not just for a 3-year contract, but they're looking at how much is the town willing to pay. And so, in that regard, I mean, I don't know, I said enough, I respect your opinion. It's just-
I think the professionalism of a town manager's position now, which is certainly dramatically increased even since this town has had a town manager. The field itself has become more professional. I think the norm has become, as Bob said, 5 now, much more so than 3. I understand. But anyway, we designed it to provide stability for the office and for the town. And if the Board of Selectmen is uncomfortable with going 5 years, go 3. But this gives them the option. And hopefully, we won't be going through that search for a while. Again.
And Lauren, just to follow up, 5 is the most you could give anyways, correct?
That's really, the public policy issues become more prevalent after that, so I think 5 years is the upside of the allowable number of years.
Any other thoughts, Michael? Any other?
No, that was the one, that's
Yeah.
primary resident came in.
But,
I had strong feelings about that.
That's the rationale of the committee on that issue. And pretty much a consensus on that committee that you should have that, the Board of Selectmen should have that latitude to do that.
Now, when you come before the Board of Selectmen, I think for the people at home, we're going to actually put your PowerPoint on the thing. Once this is sanitized, going forward, I mean, you sanitize the time, so we're section, you'll have the final version. And then it cannot be changed on the floor of town meeting.
Can be.
Ken?
It's always, anything's always open to an amendment on the floor.
Yep.
I thought when we did, I was wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was all about when we did the original charter for the town, strong town manager. For some reason, I thought it was all or nothing.
Mr. Chairman, I actually, I don't recall, I don't know if I was involved with that, but generally, a charter of this, a charter revision of this magnitude, it's preferable that amendments not be made on the floor because they could have different implications throughout the charter. The types of amendments that would be allowed, though, would be between what the charter says now and what the proposed revisions are. So you couldn't, let's say, change, and I don't want to get anyone upset, but the Board of Health from elected to appointed or something, because that's not at issue. And at the same time, you know, I think the best place to bring concerns is here and at the Board of Selectmen's meeting and at the Finance Committee meeting, so that the possibility could be that if there was a consensus that a particular issue should be dealt with in a different way, that be put forward earlier and could be part of the main motion under the article, and it would simplify the town meeting's consideration of the matter.
So any amendment would have to find it within the realm of what's existing now and what's proposed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like, if I remember right, when we did the last charter, I mean, we made sure it was the only thing on the,
Correct.
at town meeting. And I think it was stressed that we did not want to
Right.
make any amendments to it, that we were pretty secure on what we were pushing forward at that time.
Thank you.
For someone to offer an amendment of any nature, they're going to have to pretty much understand what the charter does now and the revisions they're proposing. Not an easy task. At any rate.
No, thank you for your efforts, sir. Yeah, there's a lot of work.
Rick, you got comments? Okay. Anything else? Get the documents and get them off the Rick.
Yep.
Very good.
Okay.
Meeting stands adjourned. Thank you all very much. We're done.